We watched a case on the news of a little girl who said she didn't want to go back with her dad because she was being abused, but she was basically forced to go back there because they weren't really listening to her. He was working his case plan, so he had the right to have them back, and she had no voice.
Somehow I just always knew I'd do foster, and I don't really know why I wasn't exposed to anything related to foster care.
We had friends who were losing their children to care, and they wanted us to take their 10-year-old, and we weren't licensed. So we talked it over and we decided to get licensed with Fond du Lac.
Seeing some of the kids coming in and what maltreatment can do, and really seeing how far behind they are and things, that's really sad for us when they first come. The joys on the flip side are watching these kids thrive when they come into a different environment, seeing them learn to do things that they couldn't do before, how short of a time in 1 week, how much kids can change and be a total different kid. Watching the joy on their faces as they get to do something that they've never gotten to do before, or learning something and becoming a whole new kid.
The joys were in just watching, like Crystal said, but the kids to thrive and to open their world a little bit, to see more that's available.
We lived on a farm, and it was wonderful to watch kids' eyes open. It was incredible. We loved that part of it. And we also, took our kids to powwows, and we did ceremonies, and a lot of kids had not had any experience with that. We had kids that we even hear a really short time that said that it made a difference in their life being with us.
There is a huge push to get kids back with bios, which we understand, but sometimes it's very much at the cost of the children. Oftentimes we see that it's the social workers that do that work. It looks like on paper, like the parents are doing okay. And then they say, okay, send the kids home. And often we see kids struggle a lot once home. In those times we do get to see the kids afterwards. We see huge regression back again. It's really heartbreaking to watch.
I agree with Crystal in that sometimes the plan is set in place, but they're not following it. I had an example of an infant who came very malnourished. Finally got him all plumped up and comfortable and so forth, and well, because he was quite sick at the time too when I got him. And then, but the mother was desperate to have him back by her birthday. In the meantime, she hadn't been showing up to, learn how to feed him, because she didn't like that he had some reflux, so she didn't feed him very much because she didn't want him to throw up. But because it was her birthday, and she was begging the social worker agreed and placed the baby home. Well, needless to say, I got him back quite scrawny again, extremely sick.
What really troubled me is that when kids did get to go back home with their parents, and it was all planned and things were good, they sent kids back to parents who didn't have the financial resources to care for them. We had one father who was doing fantastically, but he was given 3 days notice to get his kids back. He'd been out of prison for a month, had gotten a job, found an apartment, but still didn't have the resources to furnish it. And they gave him 3 days to get his kids out, otherwise they were going to go forward with the termination. And so we told him, don't worry, I gave him resources in the town he lived in to get furniture, and we sent him back with a whole household full of stuff. Because of the boarding school issue, many of these parents never were parented because their parents didn't have a model for parenting. My husband's father and brother were put into boarding schools at age 8, and they stayed there until they were 18. And so they were parented until they were 8. And so he was a really good dad to his kids until he was 8, and then he just checked out. But that was a fact. That's a fact of life for a lot of Indian families, is they don't have that training. You know, we had, at the time we were foster parents, there were occasionally doing whole family placements where the parents and the kids came to a foster home, and learned how to parent kind of, you know, right there in situ. And that is a really successful model that is not done at all anymore. And that's tragic, because that's how you find out if they have those skills or if they're able to get those skills.